Excellent customer service is very important.
Customers want to feel that you respect them, that you are there for them.
Just making sure the customer is satisfied.
I like the fact that I can communicate personally, not just over the phone.
At the end of the day, they know that they have that one person they can actually call on.
You want to treat that person how you would want to be treated.
We work 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. I try to make every experience a wow experience for the customer.
The Deputy Prime Minister hits back at criticisms over government's handling of the storm. Long Island MP Loretta Butler Turner blasts Mike LMP v. Alfred Gray's quote, "foolish remark." Police on the hunt for the gunman responsible for the country's latest murder. Plus a beach soccer tournament in town for the weekend. We've got those stories and more coming up tonight. I'm Dana Smith, and NB12 starts right now. Topping news tonight, amid growing criticisms of government's response to Hurricane Joaquin, two cabinet ministers are firing back at critics. They say the powerful storm rapidly progressed and government officials did all they could to help residents before Joaquin hit the Bahamas and after its passage. Vonnie Toot reports.
While they admit there have been challenges, Deputy Prime Minister Philip Davis and Education Minister Jerome Fitzgerald say criticisms of government's response to Hurricane Joaquin are unfair and a bit concerning. NEMA came under fire following reports that many residents in the southern Bahamas were not warned about the Category 4 hurricane until it was too late. The agency was also heavily criticized for failing to ensure that all shelters were open ahead of the storm. However, the Deputy Prime Minister insisted everything happened so quickly.
I think a lot of criticism is unfair. There have been some challenges that we've all noted, but when you consider this is one of those what I call freak storms and hurricanes, and it's now even being acknowledged as such. Even the computer modeling was not correct at some point, so that is where the challenge was.
NEMA Director Captain Stephen Russell admitted yesterday that his organization must ultimately take responsibility for the fact that the vast majority of shelters on the southeastern islands ravaged by Hurricane Joaquin did not open. Government has also been accused of not demonstrating a sense of urgency with relief efforts. However, Fitzgerald said government officials hit the ground as soon as they could to assess the damage and bring immediate relief to affected residents. He says he finds the criticisms a bit concerning.
All of the social workers were on the ground going door to door, the Ministry of Work people, the Ministry of Housing people, Ministry of Environment, and I was communicating directly with our teachers. So I'm a bit concerned when I listen to the radio and hear reports where people don't think that the government is fully mobilized on these islands. Because I can tell you from as early as Sunday when we were able to start landing in these areas, the government was mobilized, and I saw people on the ground. Monday I saw people door to door making their assessments so that we can know as a government exactly what the cost is. So I don't want there to be any misunderstanding. Maybe the government hasn't done a good enough job advertising. But
Fitzgerald said government officials know what needs to be done and they will move quickly to get residents back on their feet.
We're moving very quickly despite what people may think is not a really true reflection of what's going on. When we went down on Saturday on our plane, we had nurses, we had doctors, we had social workers, we had ministry, water and sewage people, we had BEC people. We had, it was just a whole team of people going out, and we took supplies every day, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. When I went 3 days in a row, I got very little sleep, but that was nothing compared to what our fellow Bahamians were experiencing. And so I have a pretty good feel of exactly what's happening on those islands and what needs to be done in order to restore them as quickly as we possibly can.
Prime Minister Perry Christie also defended NEMA on Wednesday, asserting the agency has been mischaracterized. Christie said NEMA and the Met Department worked steadfastly ahead of the powerful storm and following its passage. Reporting for NB12, I'm Vonnie Toot.
Mike Allen PV Alfred Gray's comment that heads should roll over some government agencies' response to Hurricane Joaquin is foolish, according to Long Island MP Loretta Butler Turner, who suggested Gray's comments were irrational. Butler Turner, who has spent the past few days on the ground in her badly damaged constituency providing relief, said now is not the time to point fingers.
I think that a lot of people are going through a lot of post-traumatic stress. I trust that Minister Gray is not one of them. I don't think he was there. Most people who would have gone through that sort of situation, I would say they may say some things that are irrational. I can make no excuses for Minister Gray. He'd have to determine why he would say such a foolish thing.
The National Emergency Management Agency and the Met Department have recently come under fire for their response to and preparation for Joaquin. Gray said these agencies seem to have been caught off guard and could have done a better job. He said when people don't do what they are supposed to do, some heads should roll because someone has to be accountable. Butler Turner said in her opinion, now is not the time for finger pointing, and added she has a lot of confidence in NEMA Director Captain Stephen Russell.
I don't think this is the time for finger pointing. I think that that is definitely the wrong way to go about things. When you're talking about the government agencies, you must realize there must be a level of autonomy for them to be able to do what they do. I'm not sure what instructions they would have been taking, but I have a lot of confidence in the head of NEMA and in the head of many of those governmental agencies.
Butler Turner, who was the guest speaker at the Rotary Club of East Nassau, said government leaders should first examine themselves before playing the blame game.
I think that if there are any blame that needs to be looked at, maybe we need to start examining ourselves as the leaders and government members to see if we actually were doing the right things. I think that essentially is what we need to determine. Right now, this is a time where we have an amazing cooperation of people, and I don't want to break that spirit. I want people to realize that just with our collaborative efforts, we can do many things. We can do the post-mortem after the fact and start pointing the fingers, but at this time, I don't wish to break that momentum.
As recovery efforts continue on the Family Islands pounded by Hurricane Joaquin last week, Minister responsible for the Bahamas Electricity Corporation, Philip Brave Davis, said BEC hopes to have power supply fully restored to all of the affected islands in 3 weeks.
So far as electricity is concerned, that's a challenge, but we are working on that, and the efforts to restore power is ongoing, and as quickly as possible, we think full recovery of power will be in place. It depends on when the materials because we have to order some of the needed materials when they're in town. So I say within 3 weeks, we should all be repowered. Hopefully, yeah.
BC officials said in a statement yesterday that teams in the central and southern islands have been making steady progress following the powerful storm's passage. Davis said power supply has been restored to the majority of BC customers on Acklands and some customers on Long Island. However, flooding on Crooked Island has made restoration efforts a major challenge. Meantime, BC officials said a considerable amount of work has to be done to get Rum Key customers up and running. On Long Key, a team is working to repair overhead lines, while a team on San Salvador is working to repair engines damaged during the storm. Davis said he knows it's been rough, but urged residents of those islands to exercise patience.
I'm encouraging them to bear with us, be patient. Our efforts are efforts to bring the relief that is required to restore their convenience is not being deterred in any way, and we'll continue to do it. So be patient and work with us, collaborate with us, cooperate as they've been doing, and continue in this one spirit, and relief will be there soon.
Police are investigating the country's latest murder, which happened Thursday night in the dumping ground corner area. Police responded to reports of rapid gunfire and found the victim. Simone Davis reports.
Officer in charge of the Central Detective Unit, Chief Superintendent Paul Roll, said when officers arrived at the scene in the dumping ground corner area, they were then called to Old Boats Alley, where there were more reports of rapid gunfire. He said it was there that police discovered a man suffering multiple gunshot wounds about the body.
Shortly after 9 p.m. this evening, police responded to reports of rapid gunshots being discharged in the dumping ground corner area. Officers responded to that area, and shortly afterwards there were also reports of rapid gunshots being discharged here in the Old Boat Alley area on the east side of Market Street.
Police said the victim is a 29-year-old man whose identity has not yet been confirmed. Roll is appealing to anyone with any information to come forward.
We appeal to persons who would have seen anything to reach out to us. What we do know is that the victim was standing here in the street along with another male when he was accosted by individuals, we believe at least 2 persons, who opened fire on him, discharged several shots in his direction. He was struck multiple times to the body, and EMS pronounced him lifeless.
He noted that police are also searching for any information to help them figure out if the second person involved in the incident was shot.
Again, I just want to say persons in this area who would have seen anything, we are not certain whether or not the second person was shot. I have persons checking on that right now. We know that another individual was here, so we're just trying to confirm whether or not 1 or 2 persons were shot. But 1 person we can say is confirmed dead here on the scene here tonight.
Now I'm standing here on the corner of Old Boat Alley where police believe the 2 shootings last night were related. Roll said according to preliminary investigations, the incident began in the dumping ground corner area but ended here.
According to the Nassau Guardian's records, the murder count for the year now stands at 117. Anyone with information regarding the incidents is asked to contact police. Reporting for NB12, I'm Simone Davis.
Still to come in the news, people with ties to Acklands appeal for help. Stay with us, there's more after this break.